Hey YouTube! Thanks again for stopping by for part 2. In my last video, I talked about my experiences and I also covered the information session and the grammar test. In this video, I'm going to be talking about teaching demonstrations and the in-person interview part. The room may be set up differently depending on the facilities that your location has. There was a whiteboard in our room, but it wasn't magnetic. Alana brought some tape and other office supplies for us to use in case, we had like a emergency, but none of us really had to use any of it. Then she asked people to volunteer while she set up the camera. There was a bit of hesitancy as to who would go first, but finally someone volunteered. She restarted the tape for him once because he messed up on his introduction, but he was ready to go afterwards. She doesn't stop the camera between tasks, so there's no real time to stop and compose yourself. So you definitely should keep this in mind while practicing. The guy who went first, he did really well, despite messing up on his warm-up activity. What he did was he did the number clapping song, and he wanted to clap instead of saying a number, but he accidentally sang the number when he was supposed to clap. It wasn't that big of a deal. At the end, he was a little bit sweaty, and someone in the room actually asked him if it was really hot up there because of how much he was sweating. I feel really bad for him though, because it must have been super nerve-wracking for him to go first. But after that, people were a lot more at ease with presenting. Everyone was really helpful with each other's activities. We all participated and we all sang along when we were required to. I think that everyone for the most part did really well, and that's a thing to remember. You guys all can get the job. You're not competing for one position. Everyone in the room, if they do a really good job, can be hired. So there should be no competition between you guys. You guys should be working together. I went towards the end. I think I was 4th from last. One thing that really threw me off, and I don't think they mentioned it in the packet, or if they did, I missed that part, but Alana wanted us to say our name, the date, and the location that we were interviewing at. It actually was a lot like the sample videos that they sent us, so if you watched any of those and you notice how they say all the information at the beginning, just copy that and you'll be totally fine. I didn't practice that, so I actually ended up fumbling a little bit. I also started reading the task 2 information sheet too quickly, so Alana actually gave me a hand signal to slow me down twice. I always speed things up when I'm nervous. Other than that though, it was pretty okay. I wouldn't say really okay, it was pretty okay. Well, I mean, aside from the fact that I kept sneezing on camera, which was kind of embarrassing, but I honestly forgot that the camera was even there. The group helps you out so much. For my task 3, which was a warm-up, I did a song. A lot of people seem to do songs. I did If You're Happy and You Know It, but I tried to teach different emotions. So I came prepared with some flashcards. So I had angry, so if you're angry and you know it. And then I had happy, if you're happy and you know it. And then I had sad, if you're sad and you know it. So first I went through the different emotions. Then I went through the song the first time, making sure that everyone actually knew the song. So I sang the first If You're Happy and You Know It verse, and then the next time I left out the emotion. So the next one I sang If You're blank and You Know It, and they had to fill it in with the emotion, which was sad. And then for the 3rd round, I didn't sing at all. I just held up the signs. So they all had to sing and identify the emotion at the same time. I did the directions activity, so I'll put a picture of what my finished poster board looked like. Everyone did their poster boards differently, which was really interesting. It was just really cool to see the variations between people's interpretations of the task. I did feel bad for the guy who was presenting last though. He seemed really nervous and he kept messing up his self-introduction. Alana actually restarted his video 3 times, and she gave him the tip of not making his self-introduction so long. I think his self-introduction was 3 minutes long, which is what made him stumble upon it so much. On the 3rd time that he started the recording, even though he said on camera, shoot, I'm so bad at this, or something like that, she didn't restart it for him. It looked like he was expecting her to restart the video because he said that and then he kept pausing and looking at her, and that honestly just made his presentation look even worse. His introduction ended up being way too long and he didn't actually have time to finish his teaching activity. I think he spent such a long time writing and rehearsing his self-introduction, and he wanted to include every part that he had practiced in there, even though he was nervous, and I think that's why he didn't want to cut anything out. I feel bad because even Alana was signaling for him to stop, but I'm not sure if he just didn't see her or if he just really wanted to keep going. Other than that though, the presentations were actually really impressive. It looked like a lot of people put a lot of effort into it. After that, we signed up for our one-on-one interview slots. You could pick which slot you wanted to go in, so if you had a flight to catch, then you could arrange to go in the earlier slots. But after we picked our slots, it was finally lunchtime. It was about 2 p.m. now, so we decided to go as a group to get lunch. We picked a pho bar and I got chicken fried rice and it was really good. But I signed up for the second interview slot, which was at 2:30, so by the time that we walked to the location and the food got out, I had to leave and go back to the hotel already. Luckily, my SO and I split it, so he was nice enough to bring me leftovers that I ate while he was interviewing. But the in-person interview was actually really casual, nothing to stress out about at all. I thought that the phone interview was a lot more stressful than this. Your interviewer will collect your documents and just verify that everything's there and everything's filled out properly. You're also asked to fill out a pre-interview sheet before your interview date because they use that as the questions. Basically, it's just whatever questions are on there with a little bit more detail on your end. This is also a really good opportunity to ask questions. I don't know if you watched my jet interview video or not, but I talked about how much I love asking questions. So I asked Alana like 5 or 6 questions, I think. I asked about my SO and myself getting placed together. I asked what would happen if one of us made it and the other one didn't. Talked about housing for the both of us. Some other stuff I can't remember too. I didn't prepare a list of questions beforehand. I would definitely recommend doing so. But she was really, really helpful about everything, so definitely take advantage of her as a resource if you can. When that was all done, we went downstairs to the lobby to hang out with a few of the other interviewees who were all just waiting for their interview slot. It was really nice to chat with them in a more casual environment without, the Interac recruiter kind of just watching you also. A lot of them were really, really nice and really interesting people, and I really hope that we all get in. Anyway, that's pretty much the rundown. They seem to follow the same formula from location to location. Obviously, timing and a few of the other variables may be a little different, but for the most part, it was a really pleasant experience, and I liked that we got to spend time in a group because it was interesting just to see what other kinds of people apply for the same position that you're applying for. There's so many people from so many different backgrounds that it's just interesting to hear their story. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them below. Otherwise, see you next time.